Let's get ready to rumble! He's taken another one and another.
Hi, this is Kojo from Raps on TV live in LA. I'm here with the man himself, Mr. Richard Schaefer. How you doing, sir?
Very well, thank you.
Good. I see you work in the room, talking to all the media, passing on all your knowledge. So really appreciate your time today.
No problem.
I was going to say, what brings you for this specific fight in LA this weekend?
Well, I live in Los Angeles. I actually have two of my fighters fighting on the card, two Mexican Olympians, and this is a PBC card. So I work very closely with PBC and with Al Heyman. Al and me have been friends for a long period of time, so we work very closely together, and I'm always happy to help him promote events if so needed.
Yeah, and it is a great card, headlined by two welterweight champions, co-main event. I want to start with the co-main event, Benavidez versus Durrell versus Benavidez. What's your thoughts on that fight in terms of, one, the style, and two, obviously, sort of like the background noise between the two fights?
Well, he is right here behind us. The Bandera Roja, the red flag, 22 years young, former world champion, never lost in the ring. I think it's probably in the history a first that you're 22 years young and you are a former world champion and you never lost a fight. So I'm sure that's like history right there. He's an amazing skilled fighter. He's a very nice person as well, great personality, and man can he fight. Super exciting, and as I said, very young. Clearly, in my opinion, if you would have to put the best 22, up to 22, 23-year-old fighters in the world, he would clearly be on top. He's an amazing talent. And with Anthony Dirrell, we have a veteran, a world champion, who's been there, done that. They call him the dog for a reason. He is a dog in the ring, and he comes to fight, he comes to win. And when you have these matchups between two great fighters, world champion, experienced Dirrell against the young, hungry Benavidez, it's one of those fights, one of those matchups where you're going to really find out what Benavidez is all about. So this is clearly the biggest test for young Benavidez, and we'll see what's going to happen. I think, as I said, he's going to pass the test as they're waving the flag here with flying colors.
And I mean, you mentioned that you spoke about Benavidez, and I think a few weeks ago we had Pacquiao versus Thurman, so everyone thought that would be the old guard passing hands to the young champion, but that was obviously that it didn't go that way.
You never see that. I mean, there are many examples like that. I remember when I promoted a young rising star, undefeated. I didn't promote him top rank. I actually promoted him, Kelly Pavlik. But I promoted the legendary Bernard Hopkins, and nobody gave Hopkins a chance. It was all Kelly Pavlik, and I was there actually sitting right next to Bob Arum that night in Atlantic City, where the professor Bernard Hopkins taught a lesson to the student Kelly Pavlik, and Pavlik had no chance. It was like unbelievable to watch, and that happens as well, and that's why we love boxing. It's not like that. I mean, if the young guy always wins and the old guy always loses, I mean, come on.
And I agree with you.
That wouldn't be right.
That's the sweet science.
So that's why we like it. And that's why it's boxing. You just never know. Would I be shocked if Dirrell wins? Absolutely not. Anthony Dirrell is one of the best fighters in the world, top fighter, and he's been there and he has the experience, and so he has he checks a lot of boxes, And with Benavidez, we're going to find out what he's all about.
And obviously the main event here is Spence Jr versus Schaefer Porter. Again, two champions in the welterweight division. Different sort of skill sets. It's been touted as slightly a boxer versus the brawler, but I think it's probably harsh on Schaefer Porter because he brings a strong energy, but he's also a very good fighter, beating a lot of guys in the amateurs. What's your thoughts on that fight overall?
Well, I've known Schaefer Porter from the first fight on. Signed him as an amateur, coming out of the amateur ranks, promoted most of his fights. I am very close with him and his father, Kenny. Great people. He has a very difficult style to beat, let alone look good against. He never wanted anything more than this fight. This is the biggest fight, the biggest test. It's a unification bout. So he is whatever Sean Porter has, he's going to bring it on Saturday night to a sold-out Staples Center. We expect like 19,000 or so people.
It's great,
it's
right?
Unbelievable. He has the style to beat Errol Spence, because he's going to be in Errol Spence's face all night long. The question is Errol Spence going to be able to adjust and fight a kind of style he never fought before? And that's what we're going to find out on Saturday night. But so I think those people who have like Spence as a 9-1 favorite and stuff like that, they don't really know boxing. And if you actually, as a fight fan, can get odds like that, I suggest you put some money on Sean Porter.
I'm not a gambling man myself, but
I'm not a gambling man either. But those who are, it's not a bad investment. But I have to tell you now about about the Errol Spence. When we promoted that fight in Dallas in front of almost 50,000 people, Mikey Garcia against Errol Spence, both of those fighters were in the top 5 pound for pound list. As a matter of fact, Mikey, even though he lost, is still in the top 10. So when we promoted that fight, I said after the fight, I was in awe, because I thought that the saying Floyd Mayweather made famous, skills pays the bills, that based on the skill level, Mikey Garcia has a legitimate chance on winning that fight. And I said that leading up to the fight. And if it comes down to size, a great big man always beats a great smaller man. I would say Spence is going to win the fight, because he was clearly the bigger man. What I did not expect, that Spence beat him not because of his size. Spence beat him because of his skills. And that is, I think, very significant. So what we've seen on a few months ago in Dallas was not just an Errol Spence winning against Mikey Garcia. I call it the coronation in Dallas. What we've done as a sport that night, we crowned a new pound for pound best fighter in the world, and his name is Errol Spence. And why do I say that? I promoted many names, many big fights, and I've only seen one fighter from all the fighters I promoted. I've only seen one fighter who made great fighters, and Mikey Garcia is a great fighter, make great fighters look ordinary. And that only other guy who was able to do that on a consistent basis is, of course, none other than Floyd Money Mayweather, who made great fighters look ordinary, who fought everybody in the welterweight division, And if Errol Spence is going to be able to achieve that on Saturday night, and I said if, and it's a big if he is going to be able to make Errol Spence, Sean Porter look ordinary, everybody is going to have to agree with me that we do have a new era, and we do have a new king, and we have the new pound for pound heir apparent to the throne left vacant by Floyd Mayweather, and his name is Errol Spence. That's how exciting of a matchup that is.
And I mean, you spoke very eloquently there, and I would say you're right in terms of putting Errol Spence in that category. I think the other thing where I see slight similarities is that whenever people say that Errol Spence can't do something or won't fight a specific fighter, he proves them wrong. So with Garcia, as you mentioned, he beat him with skill, not via the brawn. His previous fights, he's knocked them out, and in this fight, he's speaking about beating Sean by a knockout. That would kind of reaffirm what you're saying about him becoming a pound for pound if he could do that? Because Sean Porter, even when he's lost, it's been very close, or he's made his opponent look
that's why
ordinary.
That's why we are going to find out a lot on Saturday night. And when Errol Spence was in England, in Kell Brook's backyard, look what he did with him. I mean, and everybody said, it's too young, he's too young, he's too inexperienced, and so on. He's a special fighter. He's a special fighter. And by the way, when Floyd Mayweather beat Oscar De La Hoya back in 2007, and I said that this is a new era, that is the Floyd Money Mayweather area, because he actually changed his name during that press tour. Before when we announced the fight, he was still Floyd Pretty Boy, and because of all the money he was going to make, changed his name to Floyd Money Mayweather. That was right there. And I said at the post-fight press conference that we have a new era, and it's the Floyd Money Mayweather era. And people sort of looked at me, because there were other pound for pound fighters. There was Klitschko dominating. There were other fighters out there, Pacquiao and so on. And I said, you watch and see. There's only one guy who is the king of the hill, and his name is Money Mayweather, and I was right. And on Saturday night, we're gonna find out. And I'm going to tell you after the fight, when I see you backstage, I'm going to tell you
you were right.
what I think.
Exactly.
And I might be wrong. I might be wrong. But on Saturday night, we're going to find out if I'm right or wrong.
And before I let you go, there's just a couple of points. Talk to us about the two fighters you're working with that are fighting on the undercard of this fight.
So there is actually the whole undercard is fantastic. Direl Benavides is a hell of a fight, and we talked about it already. But then the fight right before is Mario Barrios against the 2016 Olympian from the Eastern Bloc. Two undefeated young guys going for their first world title. That's always a special treat, because that's their first chance. That's what that's why they went to the gym as young kids, going to try to win that world title. And that night is there for both guys. Their first attempt at the world title. So a very special fight. And then the opening fight on the pay-per-view is going to be, I can guarantee you that, and I don't like to give guarantees, but I can guarantee you it's going to be a Fight of the Year candidate, and that's going to be Molina against Josecito Lopez, a hell of a fight. And then we're going to have on the telecast, either on that telecast or on the FS1 telecast, one of the Mexican Olympians as well, who I promote. His name is Lindolfo Delgado, trained by Robert Garcia. Many compare him to a young Mikey Garcia. So he trains out there in the gym. And then the 2016 Olympian from Mexico as well, Misael Rodriguez, who won a bronze medal there, the first medalist for Mexico in boxing in 16 years. So he's going to be on the card as well. The whole card, really top to bottom at Staples Center, is going to be fantastic. And I think that's why Staples Center is sold out, because the LA Fight fans, they know their boxing, and I know based on blogs and stuff, and so comments from fans, there's a lot of people coming from all across the country.
I'm here from London,
and you came from London to witness this. This is like, how many people would have wished to be there at the early stages of Floyd Mayweather? And now you have an opportunity, and you are here to see something really special.
Exactly. And then the last one, news from the UK. There was a press conference today for the famed Nigel Benn. He's making a return to boxing against Sakio Beek. I'm not sure if you've heard that news.
Yes, I heard that.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, retirement and coming out of retirement is a very personal decision, and I think it's a decision nobody else can really take except the individual themselves. So I support people who feel like they can do it again, whether if it's in boxing or in anything else. So hey, if he feels he can do it, and he feels that there is a interest from the public to see this, that's really the key question. Is there really an interest? Then hey, more power to them. I know Sakio Pika very well, the Scorpion.
Tough competitor.
He's a very tough competitor. Very difficult style as well to look good. So I think it's like quite a challenge. Quite a challenge. That's all I'm going to say. But look, I've seen fighters, older fighters, who were sort of like written off, like Bernard Hopkins, fighting into his 50s. I see another young fighter, an older fighter I promote. I mean, he's not in his 50s, but he's an older fighter. He's Nonito Donaire, who I started working with a couple of years ago, and now he's world champion again.
Precisely.
So when you have been a legend and you have been a world champion, and you decide to put your heart and mind to it again, don't count them out.
Yeah, no, good point. Listen, Richard, I'm going to let you go, but thank you very much for your time.
Anytime.
Look forward to seeing you at the weigh-in and fight night, and appreciate all your time, and all the best.
Anytime.
Good
Thank
luck
you
to your
very
fights.
much.
Cheers,
All the
take
best.
care.